Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds, where I like to collect together all the different things that I picked up over the past week. And of course, this last week was a major one with Record Store Day on April 12th. Lots and lots of fun. I hope you were able to get out to yours. I have done an experience video on it, so you can check that out here on my channel. If you didn't get to make it to your own, you can enjoy it vicariously, living through my experience of it. I've got 20 different things, 10 CDs, 10 LPs. Run through that here in just a bit. Before we get started though, if you are new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this with New Music Finds. We're talking about all the latest and greatest things I picked up, but I'm hoping to turn you on to some new stuff through it, which is going to be the first thing that I'm going to talk about here because I'm very, very excited about this one. And I do always kick off with new releases. This one is a new release, although as I understand it, you can only get it from the shows when this band is out on the road. Maybe you can get it from their website, I don't know, but it hasn't been released with a wide distribution yet. John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, Sound of Waves, 2025 album, first new album for them in 35 years, 36 years. 1989 was their last one. If you don't recognize the name John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, they are the voice to Eddie and the Cruisers. If you remember that movie from 1983 and the song On the Dark Side, this was the soundtrack that came out. That was a huge hit for them. They wrote and played all the music for that movie and then attempted to go it on their own just under their name. With this release, Tough All Over, 1985, had some success, a lot of MTV play. Unfortunately, didn't really carry through for the band. They did put out Roadhouse in 88, and then they made a second Eddie and the Cruisers movie, or not they, but I mean, they did the soundtrack for it. Eddie Lives. This was 1989. And as far as I can tell, between all that time, 1989 and now, 36 years on, we have not gotten a John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band album until now. So super excited about this. And if you like those four albums or anything from it, this stuff sounds a lot like it. Now, let's say for some reason you've been living under a rock and you don't know anything from John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, or you don't know the Eddie and the Cruiser movies. Just think Bruce Springsteen, Heartland-style rock with saxophone, good rock and roll. That's what John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band are. They're from Rhode Island, but they're definitely, up and down the East Coast here in the United States, known fairly well. And man, so glad to get this. This was something Anthony Coviello from Sound Exchange and the other store or partner of his, Stephanie, they had gone to see John Cafferty live, saw that he was selling the CD. I don't know if they were selling LPs or not, but he texted me and asked if I wanted one, knowing how big a fan I am of John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. And I gotta say, I am blown away. Out of everything I'm gonna talk about today, if you like Bruce Springsteen style music, go check this out. I'm telling you, it is really, really good. All right, so now on to some things that did come out for April 11th. Specifically, this past Friday, I picked up the new Spin Doctors, Face Full of Cake. This album was touted as being a return to form style of their 90s era heyday, and I have to say the album did not disappoint at all. I've always enjoyed the band. It's even got a little, if you look at the back of Pocket Full of Kryptonite, this very much is reminiscent of that style of it. So that was kind of fun just there. But I've always been a fan of theirs, and I was even more a fan of their later era stuff, but they kind of moved away from the stuff that had made them so popular. Two Princes, Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. But I gotta say that this album here was also just a lot of fun. It's just good music. Opens up with a song called Boombox, a little tongue-in-cheek song about his girlfriend having a boombox, but of course it's a double entendre, so multiple meanings, and you probably get the idea of where that's going. And then the two singles that had come off of this one here, Rock and Roll Heaven and She's a Gorilla, were great. I knew those songs are going to be great, but the rest of the album turned out to be very good as well. So I can definitely recommend this one here. All right, so this one was a Record Store Day release, April 12th. I'm throwing it in here up front as new releases because I'm talking about CDs first. The David Bowie Ready, Set, Go live album. There was an LP release of this also for Record Store Day, but you know me, I'm a CD fan. So given the option, I will always take a CD first, LP second. Don't worry, I still got 10 LPs to show you guys. But this one, which I knew the information that they had promoted it with, which is supposedly it is the first live stream concert across the internet in 2003. I thought that was fantastic in and of itself. It was an audience. The audience was like invite only, recorded in a studio. So it's fantastic sound. What they didn't say, at least in any of the press stuff, it might have come out in interviews or something, I don't know, but I didn't hear about it until I got it. He performs the 2003 album Reality in its entirety, start to finish, and then tacks on 3 more songs at the end of this. So making it a really cool set. He's got Hello Space Boy from the Outside, and then Cactus and Afraid, both from the album Heathen, that had come out right before this. He was on a roll with 2002 Heathen, and then this 2003 with Reality. Then he took a 10-year hiatus, unfortunately, but really good live set. Earl Slick is his guitar player here, Gail Ann Dorsey on bass. Lots of people that we know David Bowie for having played with, part of the band at this time, and just all around a really great set of music. Here's one that came out on the 11th, but got a vinyl release on Record Store Day, so definitely tied in with that. The Replacement's Tim, and they call it Tim Edition. I'm kind of wondering why they didn't add that to this to delineate it from just the regular Tim 1985 album, this being a reissue, a 2 CD reissue. You can see the double listing of tracks, but again, not sure why they list the same tracks twice. There are 2 different mixes, the Ed Stasium New 2024 remix from the box set that had come out last year, and a remaster of the album, but you really only need to list the tracks once and just tell us there are 2 mixes, 2 CDs in here. And it's the price of a single disc. I believe it was like $14.99. No booklet, anything like that. Unfortunate, just cardboard packaging like this. So a little bummed that we didn't get more information about that. But I have to say, the remix of this sounds so much better. Tim was an album that I always liked the song Bastards of Young. And if you don't know that song, go check that out. It'll make you a Replacements fan. The rest of the album, for whatever reason, never really clicked with me. I've always liked other material from them. I don't know, I popped this on and that remix did it for me, and I'm enjoying this album so much. So very glad to get that into the collection. This one actually came out the week before, so April 4th, but just took it a little bit of time to get in stocking. Get to me. Fleetwood Mac Mirage, their 1982 album, now released as an original master recording by Mobile Fidelity. It is a numbered edition. This one here is 2,647 out of how many? I have no idea. But really glad to get it. If you remember when I was showing you, well, last week I showed you the Van Halen, Women and Children First, and I was saying not too much difference between that. And I haven't really heard much on the Van Halen ones because the remasters were so good that came out originally done by Warner Brothers. But the Tango in the Night from Fleetwood Mac blew my mind. It was so much better and so good. This one, same exact thing. And it's kind of hit or miss. You know, I've got a number of these now. Sometimes they make huge difference and are totally worth it because this, $47 to get. These original master recordings are not cheap. They're very expensive. The Women and Children First I got from Sound Exchange. It was $43, so even better on that. But they're not inexpensive. They're definitely expensive. Um, and you know, I wish I could tell in advance or know in advance how much of a difference it would be, because I want there to be a drastic difference if I'm buying it. That's what I'm buying it for, is to hear the difference in something. I don't want it to just be the same as a jewel case edition that I already have. Anyway, sorry for the long rant on that, but this is very good. If you're on the fence about some of these, like me, just know that so far the two Fleetwood Mac ones that I've picked up have been absolutely outstanding, and a definite noticeable difference in sound. And for me at least, it was worth spending that extra money to have that. I now feel like I have the definitive sounding editions, both with Mirage and Tango in the Night. And I don't know if they've done the other ones in the past or not, but if they did, I hope they get reissued. And if not, maybe we're going to be seeing those down the road. Okay, I don't know the exact week this came out, but it is a 2025 release. And only just came across this one. The band is called Century, and this is Sign of the Storm, and it's one of the bands that is on Dying Victim Records. I've been talking a lot about them in recent weeks because one of my current new favorite bands, Mean Mistreater, put out their second album. From that, I've been really exploring the label, and I've added in a couple more releases that I showed you over the last week or two. And now I found another one that I really like, Century. And for me, at least, what it is that I like about this label, they do very heavy stuff, I think even on the verge of black metal and death metal. But the bulk of their stuff that I have found so far has the feel of the new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And when I say that, I mean more along the lines of where, for me, the new wave of British heavy metal was hard rock mixed with heavy metal leaning, but it wasn't real heavy metal or full-on thrash or death metal or any of that other stuff. So I definitely liked the harder rock sounding style of that. And then some of these bands have had female vocalists in them, which puts a whole new spin to everything. But I'm really, really enjoying the stuff that they've put out. There's a couple more I've got saved in my Amazon wish list that I may go ahead and order, and you'll see popping up. I'm just sort of trying to digest these one at a time and enjoy them for what they are so that they really sink in before I go and get another one, because these are entirely new bands to me. I believe this might be their debut. I could be wrong. But some of the stuff that I've been picking up has been the first or second albums from these bands. So they've not been around very long. Some of them just popping up in the last couple of years. But yeah, you know, some eventually are heroes like Iron Maiden, you know, Megadeth, and even Metallica and whatnot. These bands are gonna eventually retire, so our metal community will start getting smaller. And I'm hoping that some of these other bands, these up and coming ones, can eventually take over the mantle. None of them will ever be as big as that, but they're still gonna have some great sounding albums for us to digest. Okay. Moving on to some used or catalog style stuff, some older things that I've picked up. Most of this I actually think came from eBay, a group that I never heard of before. And I really just clicked on this because I saw the album cover and it screamed 1980s to me, this group called China Sky. Do you know who's in this? I was really shocked to find that this person had played in something before where they are today. So Bobby Ingram, guitar player and leader of Molly Hatchet. No, he's not an original member, but he joined the band when Danny Joe Brown reformed it, and they put out this Lightning Strikes Twice. This was 1989. And yeah, I think there is a photo on the inside here. You can see the guys there. And where is, well, Danny Joe Brown, oh, there we go. Danny Joe Brown's in the middle. Bobby Ingram right there. He's got very distinctive hair. I'm always able to pull him out simply because of that. So this is 1988. That's 1989. This is more AOR melodic rock than Southern rock, but you can certainly hear the tinges of it. And I don't know if it was one of those things that was like they were really a Southern rock band, but the way the album was written, produced, and everything, and it ended up coming out more like the 38 special style stuff where they used to be Southern rock too, but became an AOR melodic rock band. But either way, very good stuff. First time I listened to it, didn't really quite click with me. And the second time, I don't know, I was in the right mood, and all of a sudden this thing was sounding phenomenal. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm probably going to talk about this eventually again on one of my underrated and obscure albums, because that is how well I like this thing. So Grant Arthur, he may be hearing about this in a future video. And you guys will have to suffer through it again, because I'm going to talk about it. Okay, this one here I picked up just because I started listening to some of their stuff again. The band New England, and this one here, which is called Walking Wild. It's 1981, third and final release from the band. I only ever knew the band as having had Jimmy Waldo and Gary Shea, who would go on and form Alcatraz. Now, the music on here is nothing like the metal stylings of Alcatraz with Graham Bonnet. But what is really great about this is the keyboard playing of Jimmy Waldo on here, but it's in a punk rock style stuff. So if you're a fan of bands like Styx, you're going to love stuff like this. Although, kind of interestingly, their first album is a little more Beatlesque, power pop sounding. Then they did a full-on punk rock, progressive rock leaning album, the middle one, second album. And then the third album, they moved to almost a mix between those two things, plus kind of like a punk edge to it, so a little different. I still absolutely love the second album. I'm sorry, that album name is, I'm not remembering it, escapes me. But this one here was one I didn't have. I found it on Wounded Bird. I have the other two on Rock Candy, and I ordered this off of eBay. I did have to pay, I want to say kind of a pretty penny for it. Not a lot, but, definitely more than the standard, $15 or whatever for it. But it was the last one I didn't have. I had done a video on Pete Pardo's channel where we talked about it. If you guys don't know, I appear over there on his channel for a series called What Is It?, where we try to decipher what certain bands are. And one of the episodes had multiple bands in it, and one we talked about was New England. And I was sort of straight up that they're just punk rock, but there really is a lot more depth to that band, and I can understand why Pete had us discussing it on that channel. Now that I've got the third album, I know a little bit more about it, and glad to have it in the collection. Okay, last episode I talked about an album that Grant Arthur from Rock Warehouse, again, you've seen him on my channel a few times because I do film the underrated and obscure album series with him. He also appears with the Pete Pardo, Phil Aston series, and if you don't know his channel, go check it out. But the point is, he sent me the Brownsville Station self-titled Red album, and a lot of people lost their minds over that, saying it had never been issued to CD. I'm guessing you are absolutely right about it. I don't know. My understanding was that he came across 2 copies sealed like this and bought them. And he did say they could be bootlegs. He didn't know. He hadn't done research on it. We didn't care. We just wanted it on CD. So it's entirely possible. You may be right. Wounded Bird never issued it, even though it showed it as a Wounded Bird thing. Whatever it is, absolutely fantastic production in terms of the making of it. Whoever made that did a great job. It looks just like a regular Wounded Bird Records release. The sound of it is fantastic. I would love a remastering of it, but if it's never been done, then I guess we all have that to look forward to eventually. Sorry for the long-winded story, but I had to lead up to that because shortly thereafter, Grant contacts me and says, hey, do you know the band Bad Boy? And he got 2 copies of this. And if you did see our last episode of Underrated and Obscure Albums, he talked about it. I had not gotten my copy yet, so I just got mine. I was able to enjoy it. I have the first album. This is actually the second album from '78. It's a Rock Candy Records release, and it's just, if there's a photo in there or something, but it's just good straight up rock and roll is what this is. A little bit maybe Aerosmith leaning kind of style, Ted Nugent leaning. It's just along those lines, but just good stuff. I think they might have made 5 or 6 albums in all, but I didn't know that. I knew of the first and second, and the first one is called something like The Band That Milwaukee Made. And then this one here, which is called, I think, Born to Rock. Of the two, I actually think I like the debut best, but this one was a great one. This one's a real one. Rock Candy Records, a real thing. But I want to thank Grant Arthur for sending me that. He got 2 copies again, so he sent one on to me, and I really, really appreciate that. It's just so cool that he's shared a couple awesome finds like that with me. Some of you guys out there watching, viewers, have done the same with me, and again, I always really appreciate that. It's always great to share music. I don't do as much shipping out of things because obviously of the cost of stuff these days. But I do, when I get duplicates or upgrades, I always try to pass it along. I just find there really isn't money to be made in selling CDs unless they're obscure ones. But just run-of-the-mill type things, I'd rather pass them along. And so those of you guys doing the same thing, whether to me or someone else, that is great to do. It's good to pass that stuff along. Grant's passing it along. So always fantastic. Better move this along now because we're 21 minutes in and I haven't even finished the CDs. But the last one, Richie Kotzen. This is a Wave of Emotion, 1996. It is a Japanese release. So again, paid a Japanese price for this, but no more than it would have been if I bought it at the time of release. Richie Kotzen first came to my attention as the replacement guitar player in Poison, taken over for CC DeVille on Native Tongue, and I absolutely love that album. So it made me a fan of his. Then he just does some solo stuff, which I didn't really know about at the time because it was kind of on small labels. He reappears in Mr. Big and records 2 albums with them starting in 1999 and I think 2001 before Mr. Big broke up for the first time. And so I'm just like, I loved this guy's stylings. Then when I did get into some of his solo stuff really doesn't sound like Poison or Mr. Big. Of course, that would all change when later on he forms Winery Dogs with Mike Portnoy and Billy Sheehan. And then that stuff does sound like the Poison and Mr. Big era style stuff. But in between there, he does a lot more R&B infused rock. And I've slowly gotten into that stuff over the years. He always does a few real all-out rock numbers on his solo stuff, and I love that. And then he kind of goes in and he does a lot of different styles. He's all over the place in his thing. But I really wanted to hear the 2 albums that were in between Poison from 93 until 1999. Not a full 6 years, that because he was in Poison for a little after that and then in Mr. Big before the album came out in 99. But there's some period in there where he puts out this one and he puts out another one that I just recently got when I was at Jack's in Red Bank, New Jersey. Shout out to that store. Love that store. All right, so moving on to record store day stuff. I have done a full video of scores from the record store. So if you want to see more about these, watch that video. I'm going to run through these fairly quickly here now because we've already spent so much time talking about that other great stuff that I got. But now that I've listened to these albums, I can talk a bit more about them. That's the whole point of this episode, to give you guys some background on stuff. So first one up here being Thin Lizzy, Jailbreak, but alternate versions. And this one's an interesting one. You've heard me talk about it. I love albums. I like getting to hear different versions, whether it be demos, outtakes, instrumental, whatever it might be. So this was very cool, in particular hearing some of the instrumentals, because you could really focus on just the guitar playing or whatever part of it that you really like. Not that I don't like Phil Lynott's vocals, but I know the song so well that I don't necessarily need that when I'm listening to an alternate edition. This was a very cool one because first of all, you get alternate album art there. Let me just pull up the sleeve. I wasn't going to do this, and I certainly won't on all of them, but there's the original drawing of what the Jailbreak album was with the live photo of the band that would go there. But I love seeing the original drawing on the stuff and some other cool art that was included with this release. So that one was a great one. Did definitely enjoy that. Next one up, Doors, Strange Days. This is a work in progress album. It's only got 7 of the tracks from the album, but that's because that was all that was mixed at the time. And so here's the story behind it. I'm going to show you the inside again because it ties into this, which is there was a cool little written up thing by Bruce Botnick in here that explained it. And then, of course, you get to see what the original tape of this stuff looked like. He finds this after 58 years. And they had recorded the parts of the album so far, I guess these 7 tracks. And they were now allotted a bigger budget. It's the second album. And instead of just 4 tracks, they were allowed to use 8 tracks. So they had only recorded the standard 4 tracks with these songs here. And not that they were necessarily done, but they didn't have in mind anything else to do. However, somebody turns up with an early pressing of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's album. And they listened to that. And first of all, that was all done on 4-track. They were just really amazed by the experimentation and what had happened and the sounds that could be added. And it spurred them along to do what they did to the final version of Strange Days. But this is those songs before they did any of that experimentation. And it is fantastic because you get to hear stuff that you never did, meaning it was covered up by something or you ended up focusing on another aspect and this part was buried in it. Now you're just hearing the songs. So that was a really cool one. Sweet Desolation Boulevard. This is live in demos, a 50th anniversary of the album release. This one here didn't quite grab me the way that I had hoped that it would. I realized after getting it that it's both live and demo and it's a lot of live stuff. And the live stuff, while cool, not really high quality. I'm not a huge live fan. So unless it sounds great, I'm not really into it. I probably won't listen to this one all that much. Few demos. It's cool to get all the songs in either a demo or live. And again, hearing it in a different way, but I prefer the studio, the alternate edition, outtake, edit, instrumental, remix, whatever it might be. And Sweet has done that on the other one. I think they did Level Headed the last time. And this is just the way they're doing this one, probably because they didn't have demos or alternate versions of those others, so they were able to create it this way. But this one also just has a black sleeve inside, so I was a little bummed there wasn't information about all of this. All right, Queen, 5-track demos that were recorded, the D Lane Leia demos. This one I haven't opened yet, by the way. I'm still digesting all of these at this point, and I'm taking my time because I really want to enjoy this. It's like Christmas. You don't want to just rip through it. I like to stretch it out a little bit. But Keep Yourself Alive, The Night Comes Down, Great King Rat, Jesus, and Liar are the 5 tracks. And ultimately, as I understand the story, hopefully there's something inside here to tell me about it. But those were the songs that got Queen signed. So I definitely wanted that in my collection. It's kind of like the first Queen recorded music to have that. I've also got the stuff that they did when they were Smile. So I've got that. I got to have this. Haven't opened this one just yet. Jethro Tull, Songs from the Vault 75 to 78. A lot of this stuff I know has popped up on the CD box sets, which I have, and other vinyl releases that are of whole albums, like War Child had a War Child 2, and some of the other ones, can't think of them all offhand, but this stuff is a collection of from those plus other unreleased stuff. And we've got early versions, version 1, an acoustic version, orchestra version, studio version, and then other listings of things on here. And I don't know all of what it is, but those albums that are represented: Minstrel in the Gallery, Too Old for Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die, Songs from the Wood, Heavy Horses. And it says majority of these have not previously appeared on vinyl. So I know for vinyl fans, this was a really cool thing. It's also a gatefold. I haven't opened it yet. I will be getting to it. This is one I didn't think that I was going to be able to get, and I ended up getting one last minute. And I'm not ripped into it yet, but yes, Live at the Rainbow, London, England, December 16th, 1972. As I understand it, if you have the box set that they released from the 1972 tour, this is part of it. So it is out there in the world. This is from the Close to the Edge tour. It says limited edition triple LP set, side F, etching available. It says first time on vinyl though. Maybe it's longer or something, or it's the first time as a triple vinyl, but someone was telling me this is already out there if you have that box set. But I also think maybe that box set was CD only, and I could be completely wrong. I have to do research, but I don't generally do that until I rip into these things and listen to them. I like to read on my phone and know what's going on while I'm digesting the music. This was 3 LPs at $59.98, and I thought that was really good. $60 for 3 LPs. This one here, $34.98, 2 LPs. A lot of these were really good prices. The Keith Richards was $21. Sorry, I hadn't talked about that one yet, but talking about the price of it. Anyway, good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't pick up the Yes album, I think from a year ago or maybe 2 years back. And I really was kicking myself after that not doing it. Although I did hear the quality wasn't very good. So it made it a little bit better. But I've decided from now on, just buy this stuff if you want it. And the Keith Richards and Expensive Winos was exactly that. Limited edition live EP from March 10th of 2022. They did this for a benefit, and I don't know if that's the only 3 songs they did. $9.99, You Got the Silver, and Before They Make Me Run were the 3 songs that they did. But I've always been a big fan of Keith Richards solo as well as Mick Jagger's solo. So I like getting their stuff. I'm also a fan of the Rolling Stones, but I mean, I am a legit fan of both of those artists. In fact, I knew those artists solo before I really knew them as Rolling Stones. So when the Rolling Stones came back with Steel Wheels, that was a big thing for me because I already knew 2 of the guys as solo artists and liked their music. And when they came back and they did that, that was kind of a cool thing for me back in the day. Judas Priest live album. This is Live in Atlanta 82. It's on red vinyl, recorded on the Screaming for Vengeance World Tour. I hear this thing sounds fantastic. It is out there on a CD, but first time on vinyl. And that CD is part of a 50th anniversary monstrous box set that was, in my opinion, way overpriced. I want to say it was like 500 plus. And all I wanted were those live albums that were within it, but they made you buy every studio album too as part of it. And so I steered clear of that. I've since gotten a few things from it. Now they're doing this, and I hope they continue to do it this way. I think that would be really cool. And then just very quickly, because you've already seen these and the individual reviews that I did, but I had gotten the Blue Cheer album Junk, which is cover songs recorded in 88 and 90. This one here from Flatiron Records. I want to thank them again for sending this to me in advance for review. A number of people were like, hey, how did you get those albums so early? Record labels do send me stuff for review. I try to always tell you guys when that is the case. If I'm not telling you, then that means I paid for it. So just because I'm on here doing this doesn't mean I get ridiculous amounts of things free from labels. I get some stuff. This time I got lucky. I got 4 albums from Record Store Day through record labels to have me review them. You guys already saw the Alan Parsons Project last week and the Roger Waters last week. I'm adding in the Blue Cheer and the Wall of Voodoo Lost Tapes live. Incidentally, both of these are coming out on CD on May 9th, which I pre-ordered. So even though these were sent to me for free, I'm still buying the CD copies. So that label not only got me to promote, but they made me a fan of those albums, and I'm going to be buying them. So come the May 9th video that will follow with the new stuff that I've gotten, you're going to see those again in there. But yeah, you know, so that's cool. I still ended up buying, let's see, 10. Let's see, 10? No, sorry, 9. I still ended up buying 9 things from Record Store Day myself. So it was a huge, huge dent in the pocket. Certainly, I don't get discount from Anthony or anything like that. I pay just like everybody else. The only benefit I get is I'm allowed to film there and get the behind the scenes and the cool stuff, which I hope you guys really enjoyed that video. I had a fun time making it, the experience video from Record Store Day. And I tried to shoot it different than I normally do, doing all that behind the scenes style stuff that starts it off. So if you have seen past videos, this is not just the same. This is a new way to do it, and try to always put a new spin on things for you guys. Keep things really interesting on this channel. At least that's my goal. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.